Okay, so here for episode 67, the Japanese Grand Prix. If you missed the previous one at Italy, I recommend you go and check that one out before watching this one, as we won, spoiler, in the Scuderia's backyard as well. As we've got tuning to R&D, we've got a couple more ultimate durability upgrades, two of them going on actually. We've got enough time between Italy and Japan to be able to purchase two of them. One of them is going to come out before Japan. I think the other one's going to come out in front. We're going to also got something from the aero department. Doesn't really matter because we're maxed out on the aero department, hence why that flat line that's been there since pretty much Austria as well. We have got a couple engine upgrades from Porsche to come. I think one of them's going to come in Portugal, the other one will come for Brazil or Abu Dhabi. I don't remember, I can't quite remember. As well, Ferrari, Mercedes and Alpine all bringing upgrades though to Japan, so that's big. Will they be able to close the gap? Especially Ferrari. Ferrari are the only ones that can really challenge us. Red Bull's poor start to the season has meant that they had been playing catch up since forever, really, and they haven't really had, the second half. They've been the second, even the fastest team on the grid at times. So as we move then into qualifying to Suzuka. Suzuka is not my favourite track. I always lose time through sector 1. It's just a matter of fact. It's just not for me. Basically, it doesn't suit my driving style. This track, personally, sector 1 definitely doesn't. I do have some pace here. It's just that it's overall, and if I were looking at my time trial percentages, which is something else that I have been looking at to see which tracks I'm slow on compared to everybody else, basically in time trial, which you can do that. You can see where you are in time trial, and Suzuka's one of the ones that I'm slower at compared to everyone else. So it's a track that doesn't suit my driving style as well. But anyway, enough about my driving style and time trial. We're down in P12, which is basically bottom position for the top 6 teams, because the bottom 4 teams are about 4,500 light years behind. They'll be starting back in China compared to the rest of us. But we are up on Ocon, as we go through into the final couple of corners. This horrible shame, don't do a Latifi and go the wrong way through out the final corner, up to the line, and lost a bit of time on the exit of the final corner there, but is enough for P10 as well. So it's a top 10 start. Again, I will mention this, with Verstappen, god tier time there. I mean, nobody else, but we're half a second of Ricciardo, which is about average considering the fact that their qualifying pace is just biblical pace, and then their race pace is just dreadful. So yes, I'm confident we can get some decent points and get in front of SAINZ. We'll see what we can do from 10th place in the Winners' time, the Japanese Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issei Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure of 8 Suzuka Circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through the 130R and into the final chicane. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Gasly, Leclerc, Lando Norris and Russell, Hamilton, Phoenix, Ocon and Sebastian Vettel, Albon, Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda and Sainz, Bottas, Stroll, Kevin Magnussen, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi, Joe and Robert Schwartzman. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Phoenix. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Well, Carlos Sainz has a grid penalty, as does Kevin Magnussen. That's promoted us to P8. So, Sainz championship hopes are slipping away quite drastically, I'm not going to lie. We could be good for a second Drivers' Championship. Never done that in any career mode, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But front lights and away we go. The Japanese Grand Prix, we're going to shoot to the right, but Ocon's had a better start, so we're going to try and dart down the inside. Can we make this move? Yes, down the inside of Russell there. He's been caught napping, he's been forced up by Hamilton up to P7. That's a better start. Meanwhile, our teammates had an even better start than us, because he got in front of Verstappen at turn 1, and it's Ricciardo who leads the Grand Prix as well. But of course, Ricciardo, the last time he led, he had that engine difficulty at Hungary. Hasn't been there since. We died on the inside of Lewis Hamilton at the hairpin as the AI go far too slow. Russell's going to get Hamilton as well. Here's a replay. It's just this is a textbook lap 1 move at this corner, because the AI just slow in and they're just not able to make the position, and then we force Hamilton wide, and he then goes with side by side with Russell, as Sainz hasn't got a front wing. So already it was a tough task for our championship rival Carlos Sainz to come back through the field. This is what happened to him at the hairpin. He just ran into the back. I think that's Valtteri Bottas in the Aston Martin as well. He lost out to on the start. Sainz will have to make an early stop as the two Mercs are going side by side through the final corner. Hamilton keeps it ahead though of his teammate George Russell. Russell will have to have another go, but those two are squabbling and created the gap. We're going to have a go now at Pierre Gasly, but our former teammate has done a switchback and he's broke early and took the tighter line. We're going to have to wait to the end of the lap to get past the AlphaTauri, which has improved as he goes defensive. Round the outside, turns the inside. There, we almost squeeze him out. I think there's a bit of contact there, so I didn't realise that he actually kept his foot in there on the exit there, between myself and my former teammate from season 2. Then we got a bit of a tank slapper actually as well on the curb as well. Would have made the same move on Norris, but Norris decided to very kindly lock up and move out of our way. So that's us up to P4. So we're flying now in this race. I mean, compared to qualifying, this is a much different race. The same can't be said for Esteban Ocon, who has some sort of engine issue and is now very slow. He's backing up everyone. That could help Carlos Sainz, who's undercut everyone, and because it's a 25% race, has the opportunity to just go to the end of the race, as well as we're coming in then to make our pit stop at the end of lap 6 onto lap 7. Ricciardo got another lap, but he's way out in front. He's untouchable in this race. You know, it's about time, especially the fact this is the swan song for Ricciardo in this driver career mode. I don't know if we're going to see him again in any driver career mode, because of course, unless they have free agent drivers in F123, he's not going to be in it unless Perez gets fired, but we'll have to wait and see about that. As we're still behind Verstappen and Leclerc, so haven't been able to do much of the strategy as well. And Norris is behind us as he pits as well. Gasly there behind Norris, so Gasly having a good race for AlphaTauri, as Sainz is in front of Ocon. So Sainz is back in the points because Ocon has been driving very slowly and has now got the back half of the grid. And with that problem, I don't know why he doesn't just retire the car and save the parts at this point as well. We're now going to unleash the biblical speed of the Porsche power compared to the Aston Martin powered Red Bull. Thought about going down the inside at 180R. We're going to instead go down the inside at the penultimate corner as well. We don't make contact. Leclerc goes into the room and doesn't fight, and we're able to move up another position. Now we're going to get the other Red Bull. Can be closing, gaining on Verstappen, and it's an easy move. Red Bull surely looking for a different engine supply. Verstappen comes back at us at the exit of turn 1 to be fair, but we're able to keep the position, and it's a McLaren 1-2. So here's a replay then, as well as we dive down the inside then, but then we went a little bit too deep, too wide through turn 2. Verstappen thought he'd be cheeky and move out of there from that obscure camera angle, but that was the race. Ricciardo just was on god tier stuff. That was, 2014 level Ricciardo dominance there. But, it's P2 to us. We're back on the podium as well. Second podium in a row. And we're able to, that considering the fact SAINZ only got P10, that is a very good result for us. P2 as well from, what would have been 10th, 8th place on the grid. And we get driver of the day as well for our antiques as well. Only 2/10 off Ricciardo's fastest lap as well. So obviously we've had to fight for a lot of traffic where Ricciardo just, as soon as he made that overtake, just ran away at the front as well. Obviously Leclerc had worse pace than Verstappen. Verstappen on pole, not able to show that pace, which you've got to think that at some point Red Bull are going to have a new engine supply for season 5. Ferrari, SAINZ 66 points behind, so we're at a stage now where we can win the championship next time out in Portugal. Ricciardo moves up to P8 with his victory. Lando Norris has moved up to ahead of Russell as well to P6. So. But nothing really happening there. In terms of the constructors, there's not really any battles left. McLaren have pretty much won the drivers' constructors. There's no other positions really close enough to be able to fight, apart from maybe if somebody has a fluke result in the bottom 4 positions. As well as we're leading our rival company 30-7 ahead of George Russell. Had a poor afternoon fighting his teammate. As well for P7 and 8 really. Gasly P6 after backing the points again, consistent. Sadly Magnussen could only finish P12, but AlphaTauri are definitely there. So again, looking at season 5, Red Bull are definitely big title challengers. Depends what happens with us at McLaren, what happens with, and obviously Ferrari as well. But saying that, Ferrari have been poor. Vettel hasn't even scored a single podium since his return to Ferrari in season 2. Sainz has won 1 race all season. Yes, he had that consistent 5 second places in a row, but in the past 4 races he's scored a handful of points, not been the 2nd place. He's had 1 podium in the last 4 races. Where we've won twice in the last 4 races and got a 2nd place as well. So yes, that's where I'm going to leave it today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to see plenty more F1 22 drive company videos, especially as we can win the championship in Portugal 3 races early. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.